Hey, welcome to Beyond Design. So, continuing our series on junior compositing training, in this lecture 2, what we'll be covering today is how to create a core mat, and this is the area on which we'll be concentrating on. Now, remember one thing, as explained in the last session, there are two parts to your mat. One part is the core, the other would be the edge, which we'll be covering in the coming session. And now what I have done is I've basically made my script look a bit more presentable than what we had last time. You can please feel free and make it, customize it the way you want to customize it. It's on you. But what we'll be concentrating today is the core mat area. Now, what do you mean by the core mat area is this. If I just come on the screen and I press 2 on the keyboard, now what we can see is the green screen. I'll just zoom into the edges where we can see the hair details which are there on the top and over here. So now if I press 1 on the keyboard, you'll see there is a big difference. The edges, the entire edge detail will disappear. And this is exactly what a core mat is all about. A core mat does not control the edges. It only controls the inner core of your image. So always understand this. Last time also we have done this. Last time we did the despilling, but we did the despilling for the core area. Still the edges have to be controlled, which will be coming in the later part of this series. But right now what we'll be concentrating is how to make this core matte. So you need not worry about if the details of the hairs are gone or if the detail about any other place is gone. What we need to concentrate on is the detail in the center of the image has to stay intact. Now, how do you get this information out? Is what we'll do step by step. And for this, we'll be using a very powerful keyer, that is keylight. There are other keyers also available inside NUKE, but this is something that I prefer. So let's begin and see how we can start the keying. Now, let me just open a fresh file where we don't have the keying done. It also has the course despill, and you'll see I have kept the file neat and tidy so that we can work around this. So let's begin by doing our first key, that is getting the keying out from this. So I'll just press tab and I'll say key light, which is already available over here because I've been using it for a long time. So I'll take the key light. I'll connect this thing to the source. Now last time we have used key light for despilling. This time we're going to use it for removing the green screen. So just come over here, click on the key light, press 1, and simple and sweet, you have to come to this swatch, and now you can press Ctrl Shift and sample an area that you need to key, and you'll see suddenly this disco thing is happening over here. Okay, so be very careful what you're choosing. I'll just sample some area and I'll keep. So let me just take this. I think this is good enough for me, and you'll see there are certain things. If I go to the alpha, you'll see there is certain noise which is happening over here. Even there is a lot of black patches available over here, and that is something that we need to clear now. Okay, so you can just give it a try. You can just once more come back out of the color mode, maybe choose another sample, or you can just say you can just delete the key light if you want and add the key light once again. Attach this to your denoise. Click over here, press 1, click the swatch, and just sample a very good green area. Maybe I'll just sample this area. Okay, this is good enough, and this noise is gonna stay. So don't worry about this. Now there is a trick when you're basically working with this noise on the screen or maybe noise someplace outside, is when you sample the color information, keep your eye on the alpha information. If this value is below 0.05, not 0.5, it is 0.05, you do not need to worry about it. By default, as soon as you do pre-mult, because of that calculation that happens in pre-mult, that area will get removed. But right now, for us, this area is worrisome because the value is 0.2, which is quite high. So if you want to give it a try and do it once or twice, once more again, and play with it, you can do it. But I know this is not going to get cleared no matter whatever color I select over here. So this takes us to the other part of key light, that is the screen mat area. In your screen mat area, there are two things that you can basically play with a lot. One is clip back, one is clip black, one is clip white. So now let's play with the clip black and see what happens. Let's take this thing inside, and you'll suddenly see the noise from the black area, or the alpha from the black area, has started crunching. Let me just zoom this out so that we can see the entire screen, and just take it to an area which is decent enough. Don't need to worry about things at the edges, because this anyways is going to go out after we do the garbage mat, but then this is what we keep it. But now you see some black portions which are available on this alpha area which we want. Now for getting this thing out, you can go to your clip white and get this thing inside, correct it as much as you can. But one thing you need to remember, because of a clip black is at 0.435, you cannot take the clip white beyond this, otherwise it will become inverted. So just be careful when you're scrunching this, scrunch it only till the value that it does not bypass the clip black, and vice versa, the clip black should not bypass the clip white. So just keep this thing in mind. Other thing that you need to check is for the holes over here. So just be very careful, just get it to as much detail as possible, and always play with your gamma for checking if there are holes inside which are not visible, because sometimes this happens in your normal color mode, normal gamma, you cannot see the alpha properly, but then if you just tone this thing down, play with this thing, you can see the gamma is popping out, the alpha holes are popping out a lot over here. So now this is what we have done, and this is the solution that we have got from one key light. And this is commonly a mistake that I've seen many students doing. They just work with one key light, and when they work with only one key light, the problem that happens is they mess up too much, the key messes up too much, because as soon as you play with the clip black, clip white, you'll see the detail of the hair is already gone. Okay, and this is going to happen. If you're going to get an alpha over here, something or the other is going to get lost. And that's the reason why we divide our chroma keys. And this is what we'll be doing now, is we'll be dividing the chroma key. So right now what I've done is I've made a chroma key, or basically I've made a alpha for I think 80% of my task, 80% of my core mat, not the entire task, but the core mat. But then I still see some trouble happening over here. Don't worry about the hair details right now. This is what we'll cover in the coming sessions. So how do you get this thing out? So I'll just close this, or maybe let me just name this. I'll call this thing as main core key, and I'll just close this so that we have names, and there are multiple key lights which are going to happen over here now. Now I'll add another key light, and let me just connect it to the denoise, and let me just align this thing properly. Maybe I can just click on denoise and press period on my, or full stop is what we commonly know it as on my keyboard, so that this thing gets aligned a bit better. And I can just keep this over here. I'll go to this key light now. So this is a fresh key light. Let me press A on the keyboard. Now this is a time when I'll be keying some area over here, because we need to punch a hole which has happened. Basically we need to fill a hole which has happened over here. So let's go to key light 2, press A on the keyboard, and same way I'll take the color and I'll key this region. I'll press Ctrl Shift, click and drag. Okay, this is what we're getting now. Let's go to alpha now, and same thing repeated. I can just go to the screen mat, then I can play with the clip white and get the information back, and also the clip black, so that the information from the black portion goes away. Just fill this thing a bit more, I think. Yeah, now this area has got filled. There are certain noise which are happening over here which I can solve with clip black. I think this goes good, and now we have an area which is quite clean over here. Let's name this. I'll call it as boy shoulder. For me it is going to be the left. Let's name this, and I'll close this thing now. And now I have two different keys. Key number 1 is the main core key, which has taken care of 80% of my work, but there is this region which was a problem. So I made, so what I have done is I have taken another key light and made a key over here and solved this portion now. Now, how do you mix them together? Now for this, we'll be using something called as a key mix. And in key mix, inside the B, I'll be connecting the main core key. Inside the A, I'll be connecting the boy shoulder left. That's basically the key that will be concentrating on of this region, which I've already done. So let's come to the key mix. Now, how do you mix this together? Okay, definitely there is a mix option which is available over here, so you can play with this. Okay, but this is something that I don't need to touch right now. Now, I'll just take a roto node over here and I'll make a simple roto for this region. So we have done this, we have a roto over here now. We'll just connect this roto to the mask of the key mix. Now remember one thing, this roto, if you connect it to the key mix, this is not going to mask the B pipeline, but it's going to mask something which is there in the A pipeline. And that is exactly what we wanted. And this is what we're going to get. There is a hole, there was a hole which was available over there in the alpha, but now it's completely gone. Now same way you have a trouble over here. Can you see that? There is a small hole which is available over here. Now let's solve this. So once more the same thing. I'll be taking a key light. I'll just close this. I'll connect it to the source. I'll just make the pipeline look more proper. And once more I'll go to this key light. Once more the alpha would be gone. And now same way I'll be going. I'll take the swatch over here. Press Ctrl and Shift. And just color this region. I think this is better. Let's check the alpha. And now let's start crunching the screen map. So we'll just scrunch the clip white, get it in. Are we seeing it? Yeah, we're seeing it. Yep, and the clip black. So now you'll see the hole from this region is also got disappeared. Let's name this thing as, this was named as boy shoulder left, so we'll name this thing as boy shoulder right. Oops, sorry, right. And let's close this. And once more the way we did earlier, we'll hit a key mix. Inside the B pipeline, we'll be connecting the previous key mix. Inside the A pipeline, we'll be connecting the new keyer. Let's just manage this thing more proper. Let's come to the key mix, and just like the earlier one, we'll see the hole over here. There is a hole problem which is happening. We'll take a roto and we'll just draw a roto shape near this shoulder now. So I can just take this, and definitely if the object is moving, this roto shape will need to be animated. But right now, as I'm doing only one frame, I don't need to worry about that. So I'll just take this, align this over here. Now you'll see suddenly the hole has disappeared. So this is how you break down your keying. Okay, so if you're a student, if you're beginning your journey into compositing, do understand this. Do not just work with one keyer. You'll have to do this. You'll have to make the blend of the keyers, and this is also what we'll see when we're doing the edge keying next time. Okay, so please be careful. Do not just concentrate and work with one key and think, oh, it's gonna come out, and then it's like, oh, it's not happening like a professional. The reason why it's not happening like a professional is because you're turning out to be lazy and we use only one keyer to work around. This is the solution. This is what we need to do. Okay, so once this thing is done, so this is what we had, and from here we have landed on here on this, and from here we have landed on this. And there is a setup that you need to carry on after this. Okay, we may not require this thing inside the mat that we have right now over here, but this is a very common setup that people follow, okay, when they are compositing. That is, you put a grade below the key mix. Oh, now before putting the grade, okay, let's keep it aside. Okay, there are certain things which are still there in the garbage, okay, which we don't want. So what I can do now is I'll just take a roto. Sorry. Oops. Okay, I'll just take a roto and I'll make a roto mask around this. So I can just make a very tight mask. which is around this character. It could be even loose, but then I'm keeping it tight as possible. And I'll close this. Now this is for removing all this garbage which is there around, and I'll be taking a merge node. I'll be connecting the B to the key mix and the A to the roto node that we have just added, which is this big roto around the character. This can also be broken if you want to. And now inside the merge, this is what we'll do. We'll just change the color mode from over to mask. And what we have done over here is we have basically done a garbage mat. So you can also have seen people doing vice versa. That is, they remove the areas which are there unwanted, but some of the shots you may have to do that. But in this shot, this worked for me. So now let's come back to the setup that I was talking about. So I'll just take a grade over here, apply the grade below the mask, click on this. And now sometimes this happens that there is still some holes and all that which are remaining and you need to tweak them or something like that. So this grade will be very helpful. Just take the grade and check and change the channel from RGB to alpha. And then you can simply play with the gamma. Okay, you can play with the gamma and that's what you need to play, nothing more than that. But in this case, we don't need to because the alpha has come out quite nice. The core mat has come out quite nice. And I don't want to mess up anything now. But still, I'll do one thing is I'll just check reducing the screen gamma and check if there are some holes which are there, which I think are present someplace over here. Can you see that? There are small holes which are there. And this is the exact use of this gamma. Now you can take the gamma down. Oops, I think there is no change happening. Let me just check why. I don't need to actually worry about this. Just let it be. Let it go. I think I've just done some mess up. Let's keep it to 1 because the alpha was quite nice. I shouldn't have done it. But in that case, even if you do all this thing, then you still have the trouble. This is something that you can add over here and you can tweak. Okay. So just keep it the way it is. Just keep it because this is my habit when I create a pipeline. So I have this thing. The other very important thing is you need to add erode, and I'll be eroding something called as erode fast, which is called as the dilate. And always remember this is very important. The reason being your core mat has to be shorter than your footage. So what we'll do over here right now is I can just come over here and I can check my footage. I can press 2 over here. Let me come out of the alpha. And let me just come over here and say 1 and use a wipe over here. Now just check this. Okay, we have a footage, okay, till here in this corner, but then our alpha is a bit inside, so we need to actually scrunch it a bit more inside, maybe 1 or 2 pixels inside, and this is where your dilate will help you. So you can just go to the alpha and just go to dilate and just increase this. Actually not increase this, but decrease this. Can you see that? It will just cut into it. May not be more, just -2 would do. Okay, so when you press alpha out, see this? There is a bit of a cut which is happening over here, and this is exactly that we want because edge matting is going to solve this issue for us. This is the core mat that we are creating. We can make this thing more better. We can just, if you see, the detail has started to go down. So that's the reason why you have to be very careful when you're using this. Maybe I can just say -1, which is good enough. Okay, and you did not worry about the color which is happening over here. We just need to worry about the matte edge and nothing else because the color would be taken care by the spill area, which we'll be seeing in some time. Okay, so don't worry about the color. So I've just kept the dilate as -1, which is very light. And on top of this, we'll be adding a erode fast, not erode fast, sorry, an erode filter. And in this, we can take the erosion a bit more. We can just turn the alpha on. You see that? Okay, maybe not more than 3 pixels. This is something which is very experimental. Okay, and once more I'm stating this, do not worry about what's happening to the footage quality because this is just for the, sorry for that, okay, this is just for the alpha, okay, and nothing more than that. Okay, so the color would be taken by the despill and the alpha would be taken care by this. So once this thing is done, what we can do now is the edges have become actually quite sharp of the alpha. Okay, so this is something that we need to blur now. So just come over here, add a blur filter. But remember, we don't need to blur the entire footage. We just need to blur the alpha. So just come over here and choose alpha and just give it a bit of a blur. Let's give a 1 pixel blur and see what happens. 2 pixel blur, I think this is good enough. If you want, you can also take it more, but I don't think so we'll require that. Maybe 3 is good enough. And this is where we'll stop. And what we have done over here now is we have created, an alpha, okay, for what we want. Okay, I think the dilate has become too much. Maybe we can just zero this out, or maybe we can make it minus 0.05. I think we need to scrunch the alpha a bit. Okay, so that's trouble that we're getting into. So let's go to the grade. Let's take the alpha down because there are certain holes which are available over here. Let's play with this. Let me just gamma down. Still nothing is happening. I think we'll have to play with the core mat. Let's play with the clip white. Yeah, I think this is giving me the solution. And maybe let's try this. Let's go to the mask over here and keep the alpha on. Let's try the boy shoulder left and play with this. Yeah, this is also giving me a clearer solution. I think there's nothing over here now. Let's come back. Now this is something that you need to do. Okay, as a compositor, you have to go back and forth and get the output. Just you have to see to it that you get the alpha right. Now see this, that problem is solved. So you can play with this, and this is what we have done right now. Now what we have got over here is the core alpha. Okay, a core alpha. There is some trouble still happening over here, okay, which you can just sort. Maybe I can just go to the core mat and let me just play with this. I think just take this thing down. Yeah, solved. So yes, so we have it. Let's try take the gamma down and check if there are no holes available now anymore any place. Yeah, this happens and done. Good. So what we have got over here is a simple core mat. Okay, so let's name this core mat now. So I'll just take this thing down and I'll put a backdrop. Let's name this thing as the core mat. So remember, if something like this happens, that's the reason why it's very important that you turn the gamma down and check, because sometimes there are holes which happen here and there, and once you dilate and once you erode, they start popping out, and which will be very negligible, but still they'll be there. Okay, so as a compositor, you need to have a very keen eye for that. So just do this, and maybe what I can do is maybe I can just go to the filter erode and maybe make it a bit more, maybe 4 pixels or something, so that it eats into the alpha a bit more, so that when we are working next time, we can get a proper edge matte blending, and we'll have to come and tweak the blur and all that, all this thing over here, the grade, the dilate and filter node, the blur and everything next time, because once we add the edge, there may be a problem of a transition which will happen over here, which we'll have to sort out. So now, once this thing is done, so now I have two sections. I have a D-spill and I have an alpha. Now let's mix them together. Now how do you mix them is very simple. You can just take a copy node, or you can simply press K on the keyboard, and in this now, inside the B, I'll be connecting the D-spill output, and inside the A, I'll be connecting the blur node. So basically what I'm asking is, right now this D-spill does not have any alpha, so you take the alpha from here and copy it to this. So right now if you check, there is alpha over here, and now I can just put a pre-mult so that the alpha gets applied to the footage, and just pre-mult this, and this is what we have till now. You can also check, I have also kept a background over here, so I can just take a merge now, and I can say B is connected to this constant and A is connected to this, just for checking how things are looking right now, and things are going quite good. There are certain problems at the edges, but right now in this session, as we have seen, we are not concentrating on the edges, we are only concentrating on the core alpha, and this is what we have done. If you have any queries, anything that you need to ask, any clarity you require, do post it in the comment. But this is it for this session. In this session, we saw how to use this technique in which we blended various key light using key mix and roto. And remember, this roto may need to be animated depending on the footage, depending on what you are doing. But right now, as I'm handling only one frame, it's okay, I'm not animating the roto. Also, this is a very common setup which people follow for refining the edges in the core mat. You add a grade with an alpha and play with the gamma, nothing else, just the gamma. Second is the dilate. Next is the filter erode, and then finally a blur for the alpha edges. Hope you guys liked it. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any comments, anything you want to ask, please feel free and put it in the comment. I'll be there. Surely I'll help you guys out. Until we meet next time, where we'll cover the edge matting technique. Enjoy, keep comping, and do stay connected. Thank you.